Hello everyone, I'm Krasi and we'll be looking at the week to come astrologically starting from 6th of July. I will be making a quick overview of the week and then we'll be looking at each of the 7 days, how the astrological situation will influence the 7 days of the week, starting from the 14th lunar day of July 6th. Now, this is not a very usual week, of course, because just this weekend we had the eclipse, the lunar eclipse, which happened on the axis of sidereal, Sagittarius, Gemini. Now, it is important to say that even though each one of us will feel differently, the energies of the eclipses, especially the lunar eclipses, are very, very important. So we will be feeling the energies of the eclipses for sure. Some will say the energies were very sad and difficult. Others would maybe have interesting spiritual either emotions or events taking place. But the real influences of the eclipses always take place later. Now, this eclipse was such that would be seen maybe in approximately 10 months after the eclipse. The duration for Europe, unfortunately, I don't know if it is unfortunately, but I was in the car driving at that night and I saw the eclipse and I saw the complete duration of the eclipse, which was actually surprisingly short. And it was interesting because the moon was shadowed in a very interesting way above and below it. It looked a bit like a squarey moon. So this was very interesting. And then the eclipse took, the duration of the eclipse was very long, maybe 30 minutes. As such, the influences, the effects that we will accept to experience later on will not also have very long duration because the moon was eclipsed for not such a long period. So anyway, this is a week of eclipse. This is a week still under the influence of this eclipse. It happens just in this weekend. And why it was not very easy, it's because Mars was squaring. It continues to square the luminaries, the moon and the sun. And this will be a bit maybe tense also during the week to come. So what is this meaning? First of all, it is especially for people who have sidereal, I mean sun or moon or sun in sidereal, Sagittarius or Gemini, or if you're following the tropical zodiac, let's see, this would be tropical Aries or Capricorn, Cancer. So these 3 signs. So I'm one of them. We should be a bit careful during this week, like not to undertake important new beginnings, to avoid risks. So this is one important point to say. The moon, interestingly, and it was beautiful yesterday. I was watching on the sky how the moon was paired really with Jupiter. You could see them beautifully, Moon and Jupiter together, and Saturn a bit on the side in Capricorn. So this was seen, and why sidereal would be so reliable, because on the sky, when you look, you really see the sidereal situation. So I was looking yesterday evening and the evening before, and I saw the moon really paired with sidereal Jupiter. This was beautiful. And then Saturn was a bit aside, but you could see that Saturn is in Capricorn. So this was visible. And what is also very important to consider this week, something positive, it is the specific phase of Jupiter, which is called the chronicle rise. This is a phase associated with the opposition between Jupiter and the Sun, like the two are against each other. But this is not a negative phase. It is actually a very interesting phase. You see how Jupiter is like symbolically born. He was visible near Earth, so we could see Jupiter very, very well visible. But at one point, Jupiter is rising, the sun is setting. And this is called a chronicle rise, like the two gods are facing each other. And with this, it's like symbolical birth of Jupiter, and he was very, very powerful. Also, when I was watching the eclipse, you could see indeed the moon, which was a bit, I don't know, this could provoke different mixed feelings, whether it's good or not. But then you could see Jupiter there. And the ancients say when Jupiter is participating or Venus in eclipse, this is softening tremendously the influences of this eclipse. So this is what was visible also in the weekend. We're still, during the whole week, till the end of the week, we will be facing the situation of Mars squaring Jupiter, squaring the moon, and on the other hand, squaring the sun. But we will be also facing the situation of the sextile of Venus and Mars, and this sextile is softening the situation, and also sextile between Saturn and Mars. Literally, we are having bisextile and T-square on the sky, which was a fact the week before and which remains a fact this week. The good thing is that the bisextile is on the sky to give harmony and a bit to balance the situation and to, it is like when you look at the sky, the situation resembles a figure from the sacred geometry, because what is happening is on purpose. What is happening is indeed to bring energies that will result in changes for sure, and this comes via many other celestial and starry configurations. Take the Saturn-Pluto conjunctions, take the, which all happened earlier, but the energies are piling up, which is the Saturn Jupiter conjunction, and then Jupiter-Pluto conjunction, which is in fact, as we speak, a fact. So it is a complex starry celestial situation which is designed to invoke, to provoke change. And the times are so important that if we do not awaken now, we may be heading to more difficult situation after the after the autumn time. So it is of key importance, more and more people to be awakened now for the truth, so that the more difficult situation of this autumn actually develops into our best interest, but not against us, because of the heavy conjunctions like Saturn-Pluto, which was a fact months ago, even Jupiter-Pluto, because Jupiter-Pluto, which is a fact of this week, fact of today as we speak, is a conjunction which is a conjunction of enormous power which can be misused via the ruling power, so to say, and also power which can actually bring such amount of truth into our faces and eyes that we should be already awakening. It is of a key importance to happen now. Other than that, just to conclude my overview before going into details about each of the 7 weekdays, just to say indeed that this week, it's good that we remain very careful. The next 10 days in particular, when the sun will be still in Gemini, because we'll still be receiving the square of Mars. So, and also the moon is receiving the square of Mars, but okay, the moon is very fast. So we'll be talking about this whole week when we should be a bit careful, a bit not, but much careful. This would say, especially like I'm repeating, sidereal, Pisces, Gemini, Sagittarius, particularly, and also of course Virgo. If you have ascendant, descendant, sun and moon in this sign, just if you have in mind to undertake important activities, important new work or new plans or new projects or important surgeries, better postpone for a while. Wait until these 10 days to pass when the sun will move away from the square of Mars. So yes, this was my brief overview of the week to come. Let's see what is happening with each of the 7 weekdays. Of course, we're starting with the 14th lunar day, which is 6th of July. Here again, look how interesting now. The full moon happened not ideally, but happened late, earlier. This is already very disharmonious. That's why we need to be a bit careful and very spiritual, because when there is no fear, there is no danger with God. So this is maybe the remedy that I'm giving you. So Monday, 6th of July, the moon is conjunct Jupiter. And this, and Pluto, actually, of course, both of them, this is actually very interesting, very spiritual, very, very lofty. And it's the first, it is also the day which is ruled by the moon. During this day, it is good that we really have in mind that the moon is the ruling planet, but with this, the ruling divinity, because each planet is represented by divinity, like the lunar god in Mesopotamia was Nana or Sin. So it's good to know this, and it's appropriate if we like to experience the influences of the moon and to enhance the energies of the moon in our own horoscopes. We can eat foods which correspond and which are ruled by the moon, white foods like rice, for example. And also we could wear the gemstones of the moon, which would be all white gemstones, in particular moonstones, pearl, aquamarine. Yes, and also it is the day where the moon is in the last degrees of Sagittarius, the sign where we're having the Milky Way. So yeah, a day wonderful for spiritual activities, enhancing our intuition. And because of the heavy square of Mars, really to be careful, and if we're traveling, to be careful. Because I will tell you, when I was driving during the eclipse, and I knew that the moon is squared by Mars, but couldn't change anything. My car suddenly stopped in the middle of the forest at night. So it was a nightmare. That is why I'm telling you from own experience, these days are not very harmonious. So this is about Monday. Just let us be careful. The day is not indeed appropriate for travel, not appropriate for any important activities. We need to wait until the next new moon is appearing, for all these reasons that I just listed, just in order to be on the safe side. We can do gardening, but if you have important surgeries, also it's good to be careful. It's not the right day. And now let's see what is happening on Tuesday, 7th of July, 15th lunar day, when the moon is conjoined Saturn. You will be able to see this on the sky like the two. Saturn is the smaller light, the light which is not that visible as Jupiter, and you could see them both near in the vicinity of the moon. So the moon is in her detriment sign, and in important degrees in the horns of Capricorn, which are about intuition, clairvoyance, powerful intuition, I would say. And again, the moon is with the malefic Saturn in the her sign of detriment. So Saturn is ruling here. So this is a day of order, day of arranging our deeds, arranging our businesses, not for new initiatives, not yet. I repeat, we need to wait for the next lunar month to appear in a different, in the moon to have different appearance, so that we can be on the safe side. The moon, the lunar day is ruled by Mars. Red is the color, of course, and Mars is in Pisces, a bit stormy, a bit difficult, a bit unpredictable. Unpredictable in any sense is unpredictable also related to the weather conditions, to our emotions, to what is happening based on our emotions. This can be very, what to say, explosive. That is why we can, of course, wear the colors of Mars. Red, eat the red food of Mars. We can have the gemstones, garnets, red corals. There's many also ruled by Mars, but be careful. Connect with Mars in harmonious way, not really to increase the powers of his energies, but more to relate, to have his, what to say, to have his softer influences. And let's see Wednesday. The moon is in the last degrees of sidereal Capricorn, and this is the 8th lunar day, Wednesday, 8 July, 16th lunar day, apologies, 16th lunar day of the waning moon, and we're having the moon in the last degrees still of Capricorn. The moon is still detriment, but it is already disappearing from the heavy conjunction with Saturn, and also a little bit disappearing from the influences of the eclipse, which is fine, and from the aspects of Mars, which is also, the situation is becoming a bit better. The moon is separating from aspect with Mars, and we'll be approaching a more harmonious aspect with Jupiter, which is good. The day is becoming more harmonious. We're talking about Wednesday, 8th of July, 16th lunar day. Wednesday, ruled by Mercury, day for knowledge. And actually the moon in Capricorn is about clairvoyance. Yeah, the moon is detriment, but it's not very, very easily supportive of our activities. It's more about organizing knowledge, organizing our, if you want, businesses, finalizing things. And also it is about knowledge, because Mercury is ruling the day. Green is the color. You can wear emeralds, eat green foods, parsley, nuts, spinach if you want green, very green. Also the smaller herbs, and you can wear emerald, in particular green berylls, which resemble the emerald. You can wear aventurine green. You can wear peridot. All this is to enhance knowledge. And in this moment, which is related to knowledge, it is about enhancing our information, knowledge. Mercury is in his own sign, retrograde indeed, in his own sign of Gemini. Very powerful, but not visible yet. So not powerful enough. Mercury will become visible towards the end of the month, not yet. And then I will be making again the second series of the Mercury astrological talismans, which is not a very often to get chance, because Mercury becomes, of course, often visible for a while, because he's not so near the sun, but he is not often visible in his own sign of Gemini. And also, yeah, this is very important. So the day is ruled by Mercury. What is the day appropriate for? I would say maybe you could do some media work, but not important new initiatives, because the situation is such that we are still influenced by the eclipses. So we need to be careful. And also still Mars is squaring Mercury. So we may need to be indeed careful. When we present our speech, when we present our knowledge, because of the Mars affliction, we may be like accused, or we may be criticized, or could be that we are forgetting our thoughts, or could be that we're forgetting our speech, or forgetting important details when we're signing a contract. This is important, not so much because of the retrograde motion of Mercury. I do not believe that this is evil, but I believe that the square of Mars can result in such negative, of course, effects, like mistake when we are making or starting new initiatives, agreements, commercial mistakes, when we are buying something or selling something and signing agreements or creating the agreement mistakes. So we need to be careful. But yes, on the Mercurian day, we can share knowledge, we can study. This would be really wonderful. You can travel, but we indeed carefully, because of the situation which I explained. And then let's see, Thursday, 9th of July, 17th lunar day of the waning moon. The moon is in the powerful degrees of Aquarius, which are degrees of Fomalhaut, powerful royal star of spirituality, the star of the spiritual guru. This is one of the 4 royal stars. They are royal because they are very, very powerful. And the moon is already forming harmonious aspect with the sun, which is good, harmonious aspect with Jupiter, also brilliant, and aspect with Venus. So the situation is better. Thursday, also ruled by Jupiter, will be a better day. If you have important deeds to do, which you had to postpone, this is the day to do, but not for new initiatives. But if you have important activities that you, because of Mars and because of the eclipses, you prefer to postpone, now is the timing that you finalize these things. I say finalize, but not initiate. And then the day being ruled by Jupiter, it's wonderful that we connect with, look at Jupiter in the evening. It's amazingly powerful and visible. When he's in this phase, which I mentioned in the beginning, he's visible almost like Venus, that sharp, that beautifully. So look at Jupiter, always ask for abundance and blessing from him. He's really denoting such blessing when we ask. And also because the day is ruled by Jupiter, we can eat foods which have such color. Many nuts, like hazelnuts, are ruled by Jupiter. And also we can, also now peaches, all this orange, yellow fruit, different from the orange, which belongs to the sun. We can also, the stones, of course, the first and most important stone is the yellow sapphire, golden beryl. Many yellow stones belong also to Jupiter, and we can wear such clothes. And yes, I advise that you see in the evenings Jupiter. You could see Jupiter late. The sun needs to be set, the moon is coming up, and then after that, when the sky is completely dark, you will be able to see very, very well Jupiter. So yes, this day is more benefic for your deeds, even for medical intervention. For travel as well, the day is okay. And then we're having Friday, 10th of July, 18th lunar day of the waning moon. The moon is exactly again in an important place called sacred position. Very important again for knowledge, enhancing intuition, opening your eyes to the truth, doing spiritual spiritual activities. It is a day of knowledge indeed. And also the day is ruled by Venus, which is brilliant. You can see Venus as a morning star early before the sun is rising. She is seen in the morning. It is beautifully how many people wrote me that they are watching Venus. This is really so important. You will see results from this. Like you receive the blessing of Venus more and more, and then you will also experience this in your everyday life, because this is what the ancients did. They were very much connected with the planets. Yes, the Venus day. What can we do? The Venus food, cherries, strawberries, sweet things. Peace is ruled by Venus. Corn is ruled by Venus. We could also wear pink quartz, or you could see my Venus talismans, which are very, very powerful. Which were consecrated on specific day where Venus was either exalted or in her own powerful position. And you can wear pink or colors that you love, that resemble the sweet energies of Venus. And because she's a morning star, she's not she's a Tina Pallas, she's not Aphrodite. She's a Tina Pallas, she's a warrior, she's the god of wisdom. So it's another day which we can devote to knowledge and sharing our knowledge with others. Yes, you can travel. Some medical interventions are allowed. And on Saturday, 11th of July, 19th lunar day of the waning moon, the moon is entering sidereal Pisces. This is the sign where now Mars is residing. And these days not very harmonious and it's ruled by Saturn. We need to be careful. I'm talking about Saturday, 11th of July, 19th lunar day of the waning moon. Being careful would say, indeed, be careful when you drive, be careful not to enter and get into conflict, be careful when you do important initiatives. The day is rather to do quiet, our routine, even maybe do some spiritual work, even spend time on your own or in a temple, whatever you like. Just be careful. Absolutely the same will be valid for Sunday, which will be 12th of July, 20th lunar day. So both days I will be telling you. Also then on Sunday, the lunar day is starting with the exact conjunction between Mars and the moon, a day to be careful. I also want to remind you how nice is, how positive for you will be every day to welcome the first solar rays, to express our gratitude to the Creator. This is good to do every day, but more even on the Sunday, which is ruled by the sun, and to wear many gemstones belong to the sun. Very beautifully, we can wear garnets, even the green peridot belongs to the sun. Many gems, ruby in particular, beautifully belongs to the sun. The colors, oranges we can eat. The colors, of course, we know orange, red, oh, this is of the sun. But these 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, the moon is with Mars, and especially on Sunday, exactly conjoined Mars. Yes, the moon receives the sextile of Saturn and of Venus, but now Saturn comes into the phase of a chronicle rise. Very powerful in his own sign of Capricorn. That would say we may need to be careful. So the week, as you see, is a bit challenging for many reasons. The eclipse, which was, I would say, heavy, is still to be felt emotionally also maybe by many people. And of course, Mars that squared the sun and the moon, and later on conjunction Mars with the moon and still squaring the sun on the sky is another factor that says that we need to be cautious and connected with the Creator and connected with the sky, with the planets. Oh, this will help that we go through this week in a more harmonious and balanced way, and to have our emotions under balance and control. So I wish you a very good week. And remember, fears, anxieties, troubles are not related to God. When we are connected with the Creator, all this will be felt in a more harmonious way, and we will have other view on the reality. And how to be connected with the Creator? Just doing our spiritual work, being good to people, being like maintaining moral values, so that the good spirit world also protect us. So have a very good week. Your comments are welcome. I'm always reading them. And yes, see you soon.